Okay, so on my Reddit, someone posted this video by Accountable Commentary. Now, Accountable gets it right in so much he admits that there is no modern women, right? Women always had hostility towards men. But of course, this guy, Accountable, is going to blame another group of men. They always do. Now, Accountable, there's the first red flag is I don't see you in your comment section. Okay, that's a red flag. But anyway, let's get into this.
You know, putting out those videos about those Keishas in the 60s, those are my favorite videos to do.
Red flag number two. It's a specific word for a group of women, right? It's a kind of woman. Keisha, right? They're just women, dude. All women are like this, no matter what their age or their race. They're all the same. This is female behavior, right?
Out of all the videos, those are my favorite. You know why?
I like this video. Photo you're showing. There's no guys here because women don't like men. Matter of fact, commentary, or I should call you accountable. Accountable, women are the class enemy of men. That's why there's no men in that photo. Because who they are fighting against is us.
Because it stops all these dudes that were telling us that, hey, no, you know, the modern woman and you know this is just the modern one. Women like that in the past weren't like that. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as the modern woman when it comes
Good for you. Thank you.
to Keisha. That's Keisha. That's all. That's who she's ever been.
Again, why are you saying just Keisha though? You think white women are any different than black women or Hispanics or, Asian women are all the same, dude. So you're just angry that the women you want to be with rejected you. Right.
The modern Keisha you saw in the '60s, black man, and in time before that too. But I'm talking about the '60s because those videos that I put out came from the '60s. And what did you see? What did you see in those videos, black man? You saw them being disrespectful to black men. You saw them wanting black men to be anything else but men.
Ah, red flag number two, or sorry, three. Uh, what you're saying is they didn't select you. The what a man is what is a guy who's validated by women. So these women didn't choose a man, and therefore she didn't validate them. Right.
You saw them putting together unions for welfare.
Exactly. Welfare. In other words, they don't want to work for a living, which is fine, but they don't want a man in their life either. Right. That's why they went for welfare. Accountable. They want to have a free ride, but not have to give anything to a man. That's right. Women are just hostile, dude, to men.
Welfare unions.
Yeah.
You saw them fighting for everything except for the family structure.
Red flag number four. Family structure. When you guys say family, you mean just women selecting men. You know how I know? Because if there's a man who's a widow, right? A widower, right? And he has children, he doesn't consider himself in a family, even though he has children, even though children are his family. Family to a man is the woman. And women are the center of family and community. Family and community are women worshiping uh, groups, right? Entities.
Except for fighting for the family structure. You saw them
In other words, instead of selecting me,
becoming baby mothers, talking about they're not thinking about marrying a father until the father do this or the father do that.
yeah, so they already have a family. They became baby mothers, right? These single mothers on welfare, but they have their mothers, they have children, so they have a family. The family just doesn't include you.
You saw Keisha's, making new deals with Brad.
There you go, guys. Red flag number five. There's another guy to blame. Hey, accountable. How come you how come you sound like incels? All right, incels, they're into lookism, right? They talk about Chad. Accountable, they talk about Chad, right? It's these women are doing us dirty, but it's not because they disrespect us. It's because they're hooking up with another guy. And the other guy is always a unicorn, right? It's Chad for the lookism crowd, and it's Brad for you black guys, right? She's selecting another group of men. That's your biggest gripe. It's not the fact that these women are actually trying to strip you of your rights or work against you as a separate class. They're just they're going with another group of men, supposedly. That's the big crime.
New welfare deals. You saw that. You seen that.
Why?
You saw that.
Yeah.
So hopefully that all that talk about Keisha's in the 60s, they was riders. No, they were not. No, they were not. Their motivation was to go against us.
Now you've got some truth, dude. Exactly. Women are the class enemy of men. You- Giving any kind of political power, they use it to attack us. That's true.
And since they didn't have the resources to go against us, they went to Brad. I need you to understand that.
The government isn't Brad, dude. These black women treat white men like shit as well. When they go out for white guys, they go for guys with status, wealth, and notoriety. They don't go for the white guy who's just the average guy on the street. So it has nothing to do with race, actually, other than they see white men as higher status. That's it.
Their whole motivation was to go against us. They didn't like that we were head of the household. They didn't like that.
No, you weren't, dude. They were the head of the household. You were the provider. You were the little work boy. Women are the head of the household. They are the head of the family unit. That's why they get to be housewives, right? Sit around at home while you work. Accountable here is a trad con, right? His very name is red flag number six. Accountable. Women don't avoid accountability. They're never held to it, dude. And you aren't holding them to account either because you're blaming Brad. Evil Brad stole your woman away.
Our word was the last word when it come to anything in the house. They didn't like that. Do you know why they didn't like that? Because they wanted to be back on the plantation. They didn't look at you as men.
No, no, the plantation these women had to work. That's not the plantation. Being on welfare is not the plantation. That's true blue freedom. All their time is their own. All their worries are zero. When he says plantation, what he means is they want to hook up with those wealthy white guys. Again, yeah, this is what this guy is about.
They looked at Brad as men, but didn't look at you as men.
So you're saying these white guys, they saw them as better servants. Wow, that's great for us white guys.
They felt some sort of way, like, nah, who are you? Brad is in charge, not you.
No, no. Brad has the status and he'd make a great servant. He's a better plow horse. You don't know how to frame the issue. Accountable?
Why are you in charge? This is what happened right after bondage. Right after bondage. Wait a minute, you want to be in charge now? Who are you?
Women are in charge, though, dude. They always have been. They always have been.
No, I'd rather have Brad in charge.
Brad is a servant. White guys is a servant. Get it right.
This was their whole mind state. Black men were too busy going out there trying to build communities. And
Get with women. That's what community is. Accountable. Get with women. And they deselected you, right? That's the gripe. Hey, I've been deselected as well. I just don't give a shit because I know there's nothing there.
fight Brad at the same
I don't want to be a woman's servant. No, you were saying something about Brad.
time, but didn't understand that they had another fight inside their house until later. Until later. So
There's no fight inside your house. It was their house. And they were simply booting you out of it.
so here you are. You fighting society, you're fighting at work. You fighting as soon as you go outside. You fighting as soon as you go outside. You fighting on your way to work. You're fighting at work. You're fighting at home.
Yeah, well, that's the life of a man, dude. The life of a man is shit.
As soon as you get home, now you're fighting at home. You're fighting the world. So when you go home, you think that's a safe space, but it's not a safe space because she don't want you to be the head of household.
Well, she doesn't want you at all.
And since you're the breadwinner,
Servant, exactly. That's what being in charge is. Accountable. Being in charge is being a servant. This is where you have to understand what's going on. Now, continue.
since you're the one inside bringing in the bread, and
Yeah,
basically she has to live off of you because you're the one providing.
exactly. She doesn't mind living off a guy. Well, she doesn't mind living off somebody, but she doesn't want to give anything back. She doesn't like you. Women do not like men. And they only tolerate us as servants. But if they can make you, or any of us, serve very far away, out of sight and out of mind, that's even better, right? That's what the 60s was about. It was a change in technology that allowed women to finally get what they really wanted. A free ride without having to deal with men who they dislike.
Housing, food, clothing, and shelter. She said, you know what? In order for her to get from under your leadership, she needs to find resources somewhere else. And she went to Brad. Brad said, sure.
The government isn't Brad, dude. Welfare isn't a single white guy. So this is extreme jealousy on your part. It's also blaming men for what women do.
Leave from those communities that they built for you and come into this rat community that I have for you. Why you think Brad was laughing?
Brad wasn't laughing. White guys, we don't enjoy this. Our lifestyle is the same as yours, dude. What do you think this male loneliness epidemic is? It's men being discarded or deselected by women en masse. This isn't just a black man issue or experience, I should say.
You saw Brad laughing at her.
Right.
Brad was literally laughing in her face.
Sure.
Like you got to be kidding me. You left.
DEI quotas fill up with white women first, then black women next. White men weren't included. Maybe they threw one of you black guys in just to give you some crumbs. But how is that Brad laughing at these women?
Productive black men to be on this?
Well, they don't want your production, dude. I mean, they do, but they don't want you. Women want two things: violence and wealth in that order. Right. You admitted yourself in one of your own videos, right? Let's see. This is your first video, right? She waited 13 years for this guy to come home from prison, right? Uh, this guy who's coming home from prison, does he have any money accountable? No, but he's got violence. She showed loyalty to that. Not the man, really, but what he was willing to do. She was in love with the violence. But you continue.
We barely give you enough to sustain yourself, and you chose this over your man?
Yeah. Well, I mean, why are you surprised at this point?
This is what they chose.
Yeah. So you should come to terms with the fact that women don't like men. There's a range. They're indifferent, dislike, outright hostile. That's the range. Accountable?
This is what they wanted.
Yeah.
They chose this.
Yeah.
They chose to get from under your leadership.
Okay, what are you going to do about it in the end? Yeah, I know it's great. I'm going to go to this one first or second, because I think this is important to respond to too, right? Now let's hear this.
Salute, salute, salute. First of all, before I start this, RIP to James Earl Jones. This man did so much in his lifetime. He lived a full life. He created a path for black men.
No, no, he didn't actually. He gained status. Status is relative to other men. It's a race. It's a foot race. It's a foot race accountable. So, in a foot race of 100 guys, there's 99 losers. You can get in the race and try and gain status. That doesn't mean you're going to. Matter of fact, most likely it means you're not going to. So James Earl Jones didn't give anything to black men in that regard.
Showed them they didn't have to play stereotypical parts in movies. They didn't have to adhere to the stereotypes. Showed them.
He's like Morgan Freeman. The thing is, these guys had the screen presence, right? They had the personality that they could get away with it. Most guys can't. Once they got their foot in the door, once they gained status, they could ask for even more. The average black man who becomes an actor, he doesn't have any of that swag to work with. They got to take what they can get. When you're an actor at the bottom of the pole, you're just like a guy at the bottom of the dating pole. You take what you can get.
Them how to be classy, showed them how to move. Very distinguished gentleman. You know, he's one of the only few members, only few performers that have the EGOT award, the Emmy, the Grammy, the Oscar, and the Tony.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, he did fantastic and he earned his place. Thing is, men have to earn their place, right?
he meant so much, starred in so many of our favorite movies as a child, as kids,
Yeah.
and he's
The man has a voice, or he had one when he was alive. Morgan Freeman's the same way. The guys have voice. How many of us would love to sound like either Morgan Freeman or James Earl Jones, right?
he's the goat to the goats. Jane, Denzel Washington said that when he used to watch movies, he used to look at him and say, I wish I was him. I want to grow up to be like him. You hear this
He transcended race. Actually, so did Cosby. When I used to listen to Cosby and his comedy, and I was a young guy, he's a lot older than I am, I feel like he was like a second father until he started bringing up, racial issues. And then it killed the illusion. I said, "Oh, he's not my father. He's telling me, we're separate due to race." So, I mean, he had to deal with racial issues. But in doing so, there was a split, right? You're saying, I'm on this side, you're on that side.
from a lot of actors, performers who in their own right are goats. But he is the GOAT, James L. Jones. And the thing is, and shout out to the brothers in the Patreon. Salute to the brothers.
Shouldn't you be saluting the brothers, period? There's red flag number 6, guys. Accountable is all about the money, all about the Patreon, right? Accountable, I shout out to the guys, period. And I don't have a Patreon or a PayPal. If you really care about your fellow man, you don't worry about money.
Brothers, man. The brothers really support. They support the movement. This is a movement. They support the message.
Hold it. I just want to take a quick check. Are you going to be in here? Let's see. Let me see. Just a quick check. I don't see your icon in here, dude. You're about your brothers, right? Okay, I'm not going to go all the way down there. Haven't seen you. Okay, let's continue.
The brothers really support. Shout out to the brothers in the Patreon. All y'all in there.
Right.
I appreciate the support. I appreciate brothers, banding together.
But you see, why would you care about their financial support? I appreciate guys' support when they come in and comment and have my back. That's support. But you're worried about the money.
When they see something and don't like it because just because they don't like the truth and they can't stand to hear what it is that black men have been going through and don't care about it. Therefore, black men decided to say, we don't care neither.
Yes, you care, dude. You're making this video because you care.
So salute to the brothers in the Patreon. And in the video, what I showed y'all was Keisha's celebrating, happy that James Earl Jones passed just because he made a video, and I got the video on the Patreon.
Yeah, hey, why don't you just put it down, link it in the description box? Why do guys have to pay for you to show them a video? Anyway, yes, those women were celebrating it because women don't like men. Women are hostile to men, dude.
I made a video for the Patreon about what he said. He said that, he was asked about Keisha's, and he said, they're uptight. They're uptight. They got attitudes.
They're hostile. They're hostile to men. See, even Jones didn't know how to express it properly.
And he gave him an out, which I didn't agree with. But just because
Of course he did. Accountable because he was selected. Guys only care about being selected. So he gained enough status that he was getting selected by the opposite sex, so he didn't care. He was going to make excuses. Men are servants to women. We pander to women and we make excuses for them. That's male nature.
I didn't agree with him giving him an out doesn't mean I don't admire the man. He gave him an out, said they this way because this, they this way because of history. He gave them an out.
Yeah, yeah, of course, he made excuses. Yeah, right.
The same out that Keisha always asks for when it comes to the reason why they act the way they do. He gave them the same out that they give themselves, and they still was upset.
Yeah, he was pandering to them. But the thing is, he wasn't a good enough servant. He's just supposed to say, if, no matter how bad their behavior is, he's supposed to say it's good.
Still was upset. And they were only upset because he was married to two Beckys that was also performers.
Yeah, they're racist. Exactly. Uh, Women are the biggest racists and homophobes in existence, dude. He didn't choose them. Not that they really cared about James Earl Jones himself. They cared about his status. If Jones had never made it big, he would have been deselected like the rest of us.
Julian Marie and Cecilia Hart. And they were really mad because they weren't dumpster fires. She
By the way, those Becky, those white women, they didn't respect James Earl Jones either. Because women don't respect men.
he said, if you look in the video, shout out to the brothers in the Patreon. If you've seen a video, in the video, he's
Hear that? Subs to accountable. If you're not part of the Patreon, you don't get a shout out. You showing up and giving me views and comments and support, hey, no shout out to you.
in there explaining, and she's sitting there waiting. She's sitting there not interjecting, not cutting them off. It's being supportive. And then they asked her, hey, what do you think? He was like,
Well, she wasn't being supportive. She just wasn't rocking the boat. See, this is where you get it wrong, accountable. She wasn't rocking the boat because Jones was high enough status that if she rocked the boat, he might have just dumped her and got another woman. Not a better one, just another one who's willing to put a mask on. This woman had the mask on.
like she said that she get hostile looks from them. And then she even gave them an out. Says she understand the reason for their hostility.
Yeah, exactly. Because she's a woman. She understands women's hostility to the men. She condones it too, right? She doesn't understand it. She condones it. She knows that women's hostility to men has no basis. Men worship women. Jones, he worshiped women. He pandered to them, right? and it wasn't good enough.
But
Yes.
that but think about it. He lived to be 93 years old. 93.
Yeah. Good genetics.
You know why he got to be able to live 93 years old, a peaceful life?
Because of two things. One is good genetics. The other is he gained status, so he had no stress in his life.
Because he wasn't married to any one of you Keishas. Boom.
Bullcrap, dude. You think he didn't have arguments with the women he was with behind closed doors that we didn't get to see? Again, just because these women he was with didn't rock the boat on a public arena, like what's her face with Will Smith, that doesn't mean they didn't argue in back rooms, out of sight, not of mind. The thing is, his status gave him an easy life, or I should say easy, stress-free, or to be more accurate, less stress than the average guy.
That's why. Yes, the stats is out already. The statistics is out. Black men don't live that long being married to Keisha. Well, they don't live long as their counterparts. They don't live longer than other, people.
Dude, all men have shorter lifespans than women. I, as a white man, as a representative, will live a shorter life than this black woman here. So this is a gendered issue, not a racial one,
They just don't, being with Keisha, you just don't live as long.
right? But living with Becky, that's so helpful, right? They're unicorns. They're different from other women, right?
You know why? Because of stress,
There you go.
high blood pressure, frustration. You know,
Like I said, James Earl Jones was going through that with women, with the women he was with. It was mitigated, right? It was mitigated because he had enough fame and wealth that they didn't rock the boat as much. He was able to bribe them to the lifestyle they wanted.
you know, I I'm under the assumption that KS would have still been alive if he would have just kept the stayed doing, cologne videos and what boots to wear and what eyewears and if he would have stayed with the fragrance material, the content, he would have still been alive.
I don't know who he's talking about. Yeah.
But waking up every day trying to help people that don't want help, they just don't like the message.
Dude, you're not helping women. They want total dominance. So of course it's not help to them. Why would they consider it help? I'm going to put limitations on your behavior. Thank you for the help. No, I mean, come on, dude.
Being frustrated towards the end, you could tell it started getting to him. And once he passed, Keisha was celebrating. That we're never going to forget that, Keisha. You celebrating his demise, a man.
I disagree, dude. If some Keisha, as you put it, started playing nice to one of you guys, you would forgive her and you would shack up with her. James Earl Jones, you just said she pandered to women. He made excuses for them. You think the average Joe isn't? The average guy is going to say, hey, she's selecting me, so she's a good girl. Past forgiven.
That never did anything to you. We're never going to.
Good point. Never did anything to you. That's right. That shows you how much women dislike, let's face it, hate men.
Forget that. You had nothing to say with Don Imus called you nappy headed 304s.
Well, he showed some backbone, didn't he? Isn't this the leadership you're talking about? Right? Women love the thugs, dude. You're even going to say so, right? So,
On national television. When he passed, there was nothing. It was crickets. But a man that didn't do anything to you, you celebrated his demise. We're not going to forget that.
he did do something though, right? He didn't pander properly.
Well, without further ado, let me get to this story.
Okay, this is important. Yeah.
This Keisha right here, name is Kayla.
Yeah.
She's on some reality show, some reality TV show,
Oh,
and I want you to understand she waited for 13 years
yes.
for some Pookie to come home from prison.
There you go. Because he represents violence. Women are really turned on by violence. They like it more than money. I mean, don't you see the memes accountable where they show a woman getting choked and she's saying, "Give it to me, daddy," right? Women read true crime in massive numbers. They love it. Violence comes before even wealth.
13 years.
Well, it just shows you she wasn't really interested in men in themselves. If she was, she would have shacked up with another guy, right? And she didn't run into a guy with a big enough bribe. If a wealthy enough guy came and offered a bribe, she would have gone. Right. The reason women are picky like this is because they're not really interested in men. That's why, accountable, you've been deselected. This guy gives enough pauses.
She was 19 when he got locked up.
Right.
19.
So she was a decent looking woman here. So she probably had lots of male attention. She just wasn't interested, right?
Instead of her moving on with her life,
She did move on with her life, dude. She wasn't thinking I need a man in my life. She's I'm free. If she's on some show, she was probably therefore being paid well, right? She was all right financially, right? She wasn't interested in the average guy. So her life was going exactly the way she wanted it.
looking at the type of dudes that she was into and saying, hey, this is not a good look, she waited for him. And when I mean waited for him, she waited for him for the serious relationship. She was still getting taken on tizzy tours, but she wasn't taking these guys serious.
Busy tours. You mean she was getting banged by other guys? So she was getting everything. That was her life. She was taken care of financially. She banged guys, used them for sex when she felt like it. And she was looking forward to this guy who was a thug to come into her life to provide the violence. I mean, she got everything she wanted, dude. Accountable. She got everything she wanted. So her life is moving on. Your life is stagnant. You're still waiting for these women to change their ways and come back to you.
She was taking this guy serious. She waited for him.
Yeah.
She came
He wasn't Brad, though, was he? She waited 13 years for someone who isn't Brad. I thought black women wanted Brad.
home. When he came home, she was 32
Yeah.
going on 33.
Yeah, she's plenty young. There are women who are 50 that go on Tinder and gets all kinds of male attentions. That it doesn't matter her age, right?
So it's actually 13 years going into 14 years when he came home. But
Okay.
she said 13.
Okay.
When this guy came home, all he did was disregard her, disrespected her.
Well, he's a thug, so he probably had tail here and there. And she was willing to put out, so why would he bother treating her nicely? Treating her nicely, by the way, gets men nothing. So you didn't think this thug didn't know that? He knew how to behave to keep her attached, accountable.
Oh, I got the video. I'm post before I post this to YouTube. I'm posting that video to the Patreon.
Again, if you want guys to see it, just post it in your description box. And you can all see it for free.
So to the brothers in the Patreon, you already saw it by the time you see this video. All he did was disrespect her.
Do you have any details on this? So, that's red flag number 7 is when details are left out. Okay.
Disregarded her, didn't care about anything she had going on, started arguments over small things.
That's why she's attracted to him, right? She's attracted to the drama. That's why she couldn't wait to get him back home. He stoked her furnace.
And you know what I say to that?
Yeah. What?
Good for you. And you know the reason what people were saying, the reason why he was doing this? Black man, I want you to know this. I need you to hear this part.
Okay.
You know what they were saying?
No.
And it's true, though.
Okay.
That's the thing. It's true. Everybody that was commenting on the video, you know what they were saying?
Yeah. No, I don't. What was they saying?
The reason why he's acting like that because he knows that he has endless amount of women that's going to be chasing him down.
So you're admitting women like the thugs. Yeah, they're into the violence. Right. If you want these women's attention, why don't you become a thug? Right?
Soon as they realize he's home from prison,
Good. Okay. I like to see women actually be
he has
truthful.
unlimited options as a person who just came home from doing 13.
Well, he doesn't have unlimited options, dude. He can't get Becky necessarily, right? But maybe he can. You know. But he's not a thug in the right neighborhood, I guess.
Years in prison. He has more options with women than a man coming home from college after doing 4 years, maybe 6. He has
No, so male servitude is spit on by women. Yeah, okay. Exactly. Violence trumps wealth. That's true.
more options than that man.
So this video is just one long resentment. This woman chose this guy over me. Right? I was a good guy who did supposedly everything right, and she wasn't interested in that. But then you should have known that by the time you were 15 or 16 anyway. Why do you think accountable so many guys became thugs? Because they were the chick magnets, right?
That's the way it is in that rat community.
Oh, I see. So women aren't attracted to thugs in other communities, right?
This is the guy right here.
Yeah, okay.
This is the guy right here. His name is Martell. Her name is Kayla. His name is Martell.
Okay. Here's the guy I'm jealous of, right? Can I ask you something accountable? Since it's all about being accountable, how are you going to hold women accountable? I mean, what is your solution to this particular problem? And the problem is you aren't being selected. I'd like to know.
13 years and he has more options than a man coming home from college,
Yeah.
worked hard to become something.
Right. Well, why would a man need to work hard to become someone if the women were in love with men as we are? Well, the answer is they aren't, right? So there's no love to be found there, but guys are going to go for it anyway,
Or maybe not even that. Maybe a man just coming home, getting a certificate,
right?
a trade.
Not enough bribing power. By the way, bribing power doesn't mean love because look at Donald Trump. Look at the president of your country. His latest wife isn't his first wife, is it? Is she? Because they get tired of their men and they dump them after a while. And then he has to bribe these women to go away. Right.
All the hard-working men, they don't get nearly as much play as dudes coming home from prison.
Right.
And you have the lames, they're the real lames, black men, who tell you you shouldn't have an issue with this. You shouldn't say anything. They'll tell you that you're jealous.
Well, dude, you're showing this guy and you're showing the woman saying, look, she picked him over me. I mean, you're not talking about anything other than being selected. So it is jealousy.
Of Pookie. They'll tell you that. You're jealous of Pookie. No. Why would you be jealous of somebody who has nothing going on? Why would you be jealous of some
Because he's getting the girl. Your whole life is about getting the girl. He got it. So that's what you're jealous of. All the other things you're talking about are just efforts to get the girl. He got her, so he won.
somebody who is on parole, probation? Why would you be jealous of that guy? You're
Because he got the girl. Right. And now this guy, accountable, is going to go all the downsides about this guy being a thug. Well, guys do whatever they can to get the woman. So whatever downsides he has, he's happy with it.
being told by the state to do everything, almost to the point where you can't go outside. You got to use the bathroom. You can't go out of state.
Now I'm going to stop it here because accountable. Muhammad Ali lost his brain from getting headshotted in his career. If you went back in time and warned him about all this when he was like 23, he would still do it. He would still go and get his fantastic boxing career, knowing he was going to get his brain speed in. Because men sacrifice for status, and the status is to get the girl. So this guy, as much as he dislikes the lifestyle he has, he still will prefer it over your lifestyle. This guy is still willing to do whatever it takes to get that gold. The only things, the only way things are change if guys actually find some other purpose than to get the woman into their life. That's it. That's all I can tell you. Anyway, I can, if any of you guys want to show up in my comment section, this guy knows he shows up. I see this icon. I talk to these guys for free. I put things in the description box. They don't have to pay me at all. Right? Anyway, we'll end it here.